Okay, here goes. People seem interested in my new project, so I'm going to show you what I'm working on. That's it. Now, just about everybody I show this to thinks I'm crazy, and that might be so. This is the chassis of a 1974 Volkswagen Thing. My plan is to restore it and also convert it into World War II Kubelwagen. The Volkswagen Thing is similar to a Kubelwagen. I mean, there's differences, especially once you start doing the research and really looking into it. But it will make a pretty good conversion into a Kubelwagen. Right now, lots of guys are actually taking Volkswagen Beetles and converting those into Kubelwagens. The Volkswagen style chassis is pretty much identical to what they did with the Kubelwagen. So this one came out of a field. It had been sitting for 10-15 years. As far as I can tell, it was in pretty rough shape when it sat in the field, and I picked it up for a steal, pretty much price of scrap metal. And I've already started working on this. Obviously, I lifted off the body, which is out in the yard covered in a tarp, and I've got the motor pulled off the back, and I'm getting ready to work on the motor. So the plan is get the motor, hopefully try to get this motor running. It's not seized. It will crank over by hand, so I still have to look into it a little more, but really hoping that this thing will run. So plan to get the motor going and then also get this chassis sorted out. Now it looks really bad, especially when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, but I've already started cleaning it up, taking a lot of the rust off places and working on it, getting it ready. Right now my main challenge is the shock towers on the beam are pretty much non-existent. Yeah, that's just brutal. You can't even. Right, so that's not going to fly. So that's one part that I got to deal with. Next thing is there's a little bit of right here on the front of the column. I got to work on that a bit, but I'm confident I can get that sorted out. The firewall, or I guess they call it the Napoleon hat, it's pretty much pooched. Especially right around where the master cylinder was mounted onto it. It was just done. But I mean, you can get one of these from different places in the US, because as far as I can tell, it's exactly the same as the Beetle. So I mean, it's going to set me back about 65 bucks Canadian just to get the part, which is, I think, reasonable considering the time it would take me to make a new one from scratch. So I've already got this off and ready to go almost. So we just gotta, so little things like that. And then when it comes to the column, you know, all I'm gonna do, it's pretty solid at the top, and I'm just gonna cut out the bad and replace with the new. The bottom edge, I'm going to get some angle, like 3/4 or 1 inch angle. I'm going to use that to create my bottom edge, and then I'm going to patch it from there. So I think that's fairly straightforward. You know, it's just all a matter of how much good metal I can find. The other side's actually a little bit better. You can see I've got a Sharpie line there roughly showing where I'm gonna patch it up. Okay, and so aside from the shock towers, the only other major problem comes at the back at the transaxle here. And when I got this out of the field, motor was pretty much dragging. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on in the field, but there's the problem right there. The frame horns, pickle forks, I've seen them called different things online when I'm researching this, but there's basically two beams that come out and support the transaxle. There's nothing that supports the motor, and which is strange to me, but I guess that's the way Volkswagen designed it. So this needs to be repaired. And again, I don't think it's too difficult. I got a couple ideas. I'm not trying to restore this to like stock factory, to that kind of condition. I'm just trying to get this thing operational, get the chassis so it's safe and drivable. So really I'm just gonna rebuild these things from about halfway back. I'm gonna rebuild them, fabricate them out of probably some rectangular tubing and some reinforcing, and just fix up that section that's rotted out, and give this thing some proper support, get it lined up. And actually we were having problems shifting it, getting it into neutral, and we were trying to tow it out of the field because the transaxle had shifted back so far that it kept, you know, the linkage, you can see here where there's the linkage to shift, it kept popping it into gear. You know, as it sits, I have this metal kind of support here, and it's actually sitting on a jack stand right now too. It'll shift now. I can get it in the different gears. I got it in neutral right now, and it's fine, but as soon as that transaxle shifts, boom, it goes into gear. So, and my plan with the front beam, going on, kind of jumping all over the place, is I was gonna try to attempt to refabricate these from scratch, these shock towers. Now I've since come across maybe some used ones, so I might go that route as well. If I can get a used beam, replace it for a reasonable price, I'll do that because it'll save a lot of time. Worst case scenario, yeah, I'm gonna rebuild these things. I've got a couple of ideas of how to do that already, so I'm not too worried. So that's it. That's my current project. This is the first video in the series. I'm going to be doing updates, little quick videos here or there as I work on it and as the project progresses. And just so people know, I'm not a vehicle guy. I've kind of always wanted to restore an older vehicle, and for various reasons this is the one I've picked. I've got some previous metalworking skills. I'm pretty handy. You know, I do a lot of work on my vehicles as it is, but I'm by no means an expert. So I'm just going to hack my way through this. You know, I'm going to try to do it as cheaply as possible. That's one of the other goals of the project. I'm going to try to build things, scavenge, you know, find materials, do it that way. And these videos are just going to be to show people, you know, it can be done. You know, everyone tells me that I'm nuts, but you know what? I think it's worth a shot. And plus these Volkswagen things are pretty rare, so it's kind of nice to get one back on the road. I mean, there's enough of them around, but I mean, compared to Beetles, the Volkswagen Beetles, there's not a lot of these. I am going to make it into a Kubel, potentially, but still, that's, in my opinion, that's even cooler. So that's where we are. So stay tuned for the next video.